If you really want to help your people according to the laws of the Almighty, and you feel strong and passionate about that, then you do so. You do so as strong as you can. So this is how I look at it. If you take the Almighty, Genesis to Revelation, and all the hidden books, and all the books for the righteous, and you look to the Almighty, His endless realm, His holy creation light, His holy foundations of creation, the new heavens and the earth, and all the works of the Almighty, and His Messiah, and wisdom, and faith, continence, power, patience, simplicity, innocence, chastity, cheerfulness, truth, understanding, concord, and charity, and all the spirits and the powers of the Almighty, and you love the Almighty and you love your neighbor as yourself, and you're looking for something for your people and you obey the Messiah. John chapter 1, verse 11 to 13. And then to confirm what it says there, John chapter 15, that confirms what's written, what the Messiah says in chapter 1, John, verse 11 to 13. Now when you read in Genesis chapter 1, the Almighty make man in His image. And then you read in chapter 2, He make man of the dust of the earth. Well, to understand in His image, that's the Messiah in John chapter 1, verse 11 to 13. That's the Messiah doing what is written in Genesis chapter 1, in the image of the Almighty. So then in chapter 2, where man was made out of the dust of the earth, that's what you see now, dust of the earth. So there's a difference. There's a spiritual and then there's a physical. So it starts with the Messiah in John chapter 1, verse 11 to 13. And then chapter 15 confirms it. And it's of the Messiah and the Father. Because the Messiah delivers a message from the Father. So anybody ignoring that message is then ignoring the Father. And it comes from the Messiah, from the Father to the Messiah, and the prophets and the apostles and the saints of the Almighty, and the 12 tribes of Israel, Father Abraham, all blessings be upon him, and then Father Isaac and Father Jacob, and the 12 tribes of Israel. But we need the proper language and the proper names, so we need our own education system, our own universities. You know, it's our kingdom come. Doesn't belong to nobody else. Doesn't matter what they say they is and what they're not. They will never, I promise you, nobody in this world will ever establish the holy system of the Almighty. They won't do it. No religion, no black man, no white man, no pope, no imam, no rabbi. None of them will do it. None. Not holy system of the Almighty. They won't do it. That's a promise. They won't do it. The Messiah will do it. The Father will do it. The prophets and the apostles will do it. The saints of the Almighty would do it. King David would do it. Moses would do it. Solomon would do it. I would do it. But the rest of them people of this world, they're not going to do anything. Talk, yes, that's it. And then you got the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet in book of Revelation. Well, when you read the dragon, you know that's the serpent. Right? You got to understand that there's two races of human being in the world today. You got those that belong to Satan and those that belong to the Almighty. The ones that belong to Satan are serpents and dragons, right? But the serpents and vipers, the ones that belong to Satan, they look human like me and you, but they're not, because they belong to Satan. They're only serpents and vipers, the snakes, crawl on their belly. But they look human, but they're not. If you belong to the Almighty, then you're in the image of the Almighty. So you understand it? What you can't see. So in the image of the Almighty, that starts with the Messiah. So ignore the Messiah, then you can only be a viper or a serpent for Satan. You want to put that to the test? You go to Genesis and you read about Cain and Abel, They both come from the same mother and father, but spiritually, Cain belonged to Satan. Abel belonged to the Almighty. Spiritually, right? You can see it. So it's there telling you something. They come from the same mother and father, but spiritually, they come from different. The father of one and the father of the other, right? So you got that. You can see it. It's plain as day. So if a person belongs to the Almighty, then they're in the image of the Almighty. If they belong to Satan, now they've just corrupted the image. Now they belong to Satan. They're a serpent and viper. If you want to hear that fully, go and check the Messiah in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and read what he says about viper and serpents. And he's referring to people as being vipers and serpents. So that's how it go. But if you want to be of the Almighty and say you want a government system, holy system, according to the laws of the Almighty, then you can say you sit down people and you discuss it with them, because it's a holy system. It's not no nastiness. It's not eating and drinking and carrying on and, all the foolishness of this world and corruption. It's not that. Anyway, a government, because we don't have a government. So it's our kingdom come. Our kingdom, according to the holy system of the Almighty. But it starts with John chapter 1, verse 11 to 13. And then confirmed, John chapter 15, confirms everything. So there it is. And then it's a big study, a whodunit mystery. And all them 12 tribes of Israel in the old days did all the evil and nastiness. They was wrong. And then you look at Daniel chapter 9. The prophecy that should be fulfilled by the people in Daniel chapter 9. Right? So you can see everything. And then it's about Nebuchadnezzar's dream in chapter 2, where in the time of those kings, the Almighty will establish a kingdom and it won't be left to other people. So the Almighty himself will establish the kingdom. But it still starts with the Messiah. And when you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you will see clearly he is establishing that same kingdom that the Almighty said he will establish in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 44. Same kingdom. And the Messiah is the chief cornerstone. He is the head of the corner, a tried and tested stone. I'm not just saying his name like I'm trying to sound big. He's a tall man. If you ever see him, he's tall, very tall, full of light, but very tall. And you know him if you know him. If you don't know him, you don't know him. But anyway, he's the best man ever. He's full of knowledge. Give you all kind of righteousness, all kind of truth. But listen to him carefully. Study his word very carefully. Don't just go to a church and assume they'll tell you. They won't. Study for yourself. Get the books and study for yourself, because you won't get to hear nothing if you listen to a next man. Because they don't have the spirit and the truth and the power or the knowledge. They don't have it. They can't say to you, let's establish the kingdom of the Almighty. They can't talk like that because they don't know how to. If you want the kingdom of the Almighty, come. I'll give you the kingdom of the Almighty through the Messiah, because you can't do nothing without him. Without the Messiah, what can you do? You can't do anything. So I said, I'll give you the kingdom because he gives it. So if anybody is with the Almighty, then you should know how to give the kingdom, because that's what he teaches people. He said, don't soil your garments. Right? He said, don't be naked and walk around without your garments. And he's talking about spiritual powers. Your garments dressed in white raiment. Right? Spiritual powers. Don't be naked and full of Satan nastiness. Don't have no devil knowledge. No devil system within your head, your heart and your mind. Full up of the word of the Almighty. Full. No room for nothing else. Just the word of the Almighty. Believe in him. Oh, Yah-Israel. That's my little message to my people. It's our kingdom. And when we study, you need a university to study it proper. That's how it is. A university, not a church. Because then you can sit down and study it proper and build everything proper. Do everything proper. Don't worry about what people think they got when they're talking. Yap, 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 yap. That don't mean nothing. To make a brick, you need clay, water, sand, limestone rock. And the same process for concrete powder. You crush it all up into powder. Dry it out in a brick oven, the clay, and crush it up into powder. And mix things together. And then later on you can mix it how you want to mix it, using the basic ingredients. And then you can add sand, pebble, crush up rocks. It's a process. Right? So if you know how to make a brick, you know how to make a cake, same process. Exactly the same process, different ingredients. So don't be primitive in your thinking. Because you can use wood, you can use iron, you can make glass and pottery. You can do woodwork, metalwork. You can make your own cars and trains and planes in your own kingdom. You know our territory, according to the Bible, it's Africa and the Middle East. From Turkey to Iraq, Iran, all the way down to Saudi Arabia, all the way down to North Africa, Egypt, all over East Africa, right over to North Africa, to Morocco and all them sides. That's our territory in the Bible. All of it. That's what the Almighty promised Father Abraham. And you can see in history, no one ever conquered all that territory. They didn't actually. King David, he conquered most of it. Not all of it, most of it. And he had influence. And what it was, I'll tell you secretly what it is, world trade. You had, I always say, China, India used to come by ships, all the goods, and park up by Saudi Arabia on the east coast of Africa. Go that way with the ships. Park them up, and by camel, they used to go to the Phoenicians. They're kind of Greek people. When you see white people in Africa, North Africa, they're Europeans. They're not Africans, they're Europeans. They come from Greece and Turkey and them sides there. That's where they come from. They're not Africans like, you got the Israelites, they're Middle Eastern people and African. And you got the white people, them in North Africa. They've been there centuries. They come from all them areas of Greece and Bulgaria and all them areas, Russia, them sides, and come down to Egypt and then go to the Palestine. They're invaders still, but they've been there a long time. And some of them were slaves with the Muslims as well, later on. So don't let because skin color is skin color. You know what I mean? We're not racist, but if you're looking at white people in Africa and the Middle East, the Europeans, simple as that. The Europeans, because it was India, China, Africa and the Middle East was an original world trading bloc. And you check the history. Don't let nobody fool you. The Greeks and the Romans wanted a piece of the action. So that's the Greek Empire and the Roman Empire wanted a piece of the action. And so it is today. They control world trade because that's what it's all about. Vatican, world trade. Religion, Islam, Christianity, world trade. That's all it is, slavery. Just check the history. No one's goody two-shoes. Nobody in the world. Nobody. All the leaders was all about trade and controlling all the resources. Everything in Africa they want. Everything in the Middle East they want. Everything in China and India they want. But the original trading bloc was always China, India, Africa and the Middle East. So they knew about the Messiah and the 12 tribes of Israel through the traders. If you go by land, you're crossing deserts. If you go by sea, it's water. And you can see it by the map. Just come up and into Saudi Arabia, them sides. Park your ships up there, unload your goods, put them on camel or put them in wagon, and off you go to where the Phoenicians were. And the Greeks and all them people there used to cross by the sea and come over and trade. There's a lot of trade going on. If you had trade, you park it up there and take it up to where the Phoenicians used to do the trade markets. And King David took over the trade. And so did Solomon. And that's how they got to, all this traveling with Queen of Sheba and, Middle East and Africa, China, India, all of them trading together. And all the ideas exchange. It's always trade. So if you know what trade is, produce trade. And you'll produce wealth and consumers. Don't let them fool you with their technology and devil system. Don't let them do that. Always think the holy system of the Almighty is kingdom. Because that's how you beat the devil system. You're not cooperating with it. You're confronting it. You're the salt of the world. You're showing them all the evil they're doing, causing all the worlds and wars and all the world wars and all that. You know what I mean? All right. So right now, I'm tired still, but oh boy, I had to do this anyway. Yeah? Just remember the Bible is about the Almighty and His kingdom and the Israelites, Yah-Israelites, and the law and the Messiah. It's important, very important to listen to the Messiah. Study His word. Study it deep. From Genesis to Revelation and to all the books, the lost books of the Bible, encyclopedias, the old written language, the original Hebrew, Moses Hebrew, the original, the dark-skinned people Hebrew, and then you got the European Hebrew, what they use today, totally different. They don't know how to set up the holy system. None of them European white people call themselves Jews. Not one of them knows how to set up the holy system of the Almighty. None of them know. I'll put them under pressure. Put me on a TV, right? TV, national TV, and I'll destroy any religion. Get all them religious leaders, anybody at all, wants a schooling in the Almighty, I'll give them one. Off the top of my head, I don't even need books for them because they're not even at that level. They talk too much. Yep. In history, they kill off people. Right? All of them used to kill people. You get in the way, chop you up. It wasn't about religion, it's about world trade and protecting their interests. Nowadays they call it national security interests and all that. And all the political agendas, what they have. But it's all about world trade and controlling gold and diamond and silver and all the precious goods and slaves and, taxing the world trade. And the Greeks and the Romans wanted a piece of the action. That's what their empires were all about. Greed and lust, covetousness. So the trade is still to this day China, India, Africa and the Middle East. But the Europeans want to control it. But it's our trade. So the Chinese man and the Indian man have always been stronger than the Europeans. But they use sorcery and magic, black magic arts to mash up people. They use it against black people and mash us up. The original is Hebrew Israelites. Yah-Israel. The original, that's us. Whether I'm tired or not, it's still us. Whether my belly big and we've been eating plenty of food, it don't matter, it's still us. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. Yah-Israel. We're the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Anytime you want a kingdom, come. I love the Father. He knows about my big mouth. I will tell you everything you want to know. You want to set up a government? Any 20 of our people can do it. I'd rather tell the women because they're more sensible than the man. The man are too hot-headed. Yap, too much. And they're too easy to corrupt. Black man. Any amount of gold, silver, drugs, alcohol, sex can mash up any black man. Most of them, sorry. Not all, most. But you know what I'm talking. You always have to have a way of mashing up a race of people and keep them down. But we decide who's up and powerful in the world. We decide it, but we don't communicate. We don't do what I'm doing now. We don't talk to each other like what I'm saying now. Well, let's start a government and the laws of the Almighty. No black people talk like that. No way. They don't do it because they can't. I say, come, let's do the government. Come, let's do it. Let's study the laws of the Almighty. Let's start university. Let's build our own nation and nationhood and empire building and all the rest of it. I will talk like that because that's what I'm about. But nobody else will. Let's print our own money. Let's do this. Let's do that. But, you know, that's how we are. That's how we are. That's slavery. That's conditioning. Beat everything out of us and fill our head with rubbish. Anyway, I talked long enough. Here's a little something to prove to you I know what I'm talking about. Every black organization that claim to be of the Almighty, every single one of them, here's what I say. Find one sensible, holy system type person. Somebody that fears the Creator, love him. Right? So the Creator I'm talking. Somebody that loves him enough, male or female, and teach that person within every organization to be a judge according to the laws of the Almighty. That's for every organization of my people, Yah-Israelites. Train one person, just one person to be a judge, male or female, according to the laws of the Almighty, to do what? Build up our people. Build up the organization. Whether money, goods, services, businesses, buying house, auctions, whatever it is, put your hand to it. One person, male or female, young or old, but they have to have a knowledge of the Almighty strong and set that person up as a judge to judge the whole organization according to the laws of the Almighty. So everybody is up to speed. And think about Paniel, the angel of the Almighty that's in charge of the ministry of repentance. You hear me say that, Paniel, the angel in heaven, the Almighty appointed to be in charge of the ministry of repentance. Of course, the Messiah is above him, but Paniel is the angel for do them work. And that's his job in heaven and here. So if you want to do his work, come. Now make anybody say that. But I said, come. I'm not charging you no money. Come. Come. No hold back. I'm not holding back. Come. Yeah, Paniel, the angel in heaven. Ask him. He's in charge of the ministry of repentance for this world. Him one. And the Almighty appoint him. High office. And the Messiah is above Paniel, but it's still Paniel's job. Ministry of repentance. A government ministry that. Government. Our government. Right, make anybody come test me now. Come. Come. You think I'm a lightweight? Come. Come. Don't be shy. Yeah, that's right. You see? I can say easy. Paniel, the angel in heaven. Ministry of repentance. So easy to say. Let's do something now with his help. His help does what? Mash up Satan. Does it what else? Mash up devil's system. What else? Mash up devil knowledge. What else? Mash up everything of sin, death, and decay. Mash it up. He has power over that nastiness of Satan. Yes, he does. Come. Sin, death, and decay can laugh. What happens in the next world? When we pass from this world to the next. Judgment comes when? When we're all dead and gone. That's Judgment Day. But World War III is very difficult to survive. So I say to my people, don't stress and worry. It's what we decide to do before it's too late. Don't you get it? Before it's too late. Don't wait and wait and wait. Hear what I've just said. Play it again. Analyze it. I'm not trying to sound clever. I said come. Because I love my people. That's why I'm saying this. Yeah. One love. I said the Almighty's endless realm. I said the Almighty's holy creation light. I said the Almighty's, right? foundation, holy foundations of creation. You hear me say that? Right? I said the Almighty's, right? The new heavens and the new earth. All belonging to the Almighty and his mighty works. The Almighty and his Messiah and wisdom and faith. Continence. Power. Patience. Simplicity. Innocence. Chastity. Cheerfulness. Truth. Understanding. Concord. And charity. Come. I'm not trying to show off. Right? You know the kind of life you must live if you're following the Almighty. Don't take the Almighty's name in vain. You know all that. But let's come and do something. Come, man. Yeah. That's me. My mouth, me. Right? Simple, eh? Not hard. Yeah? All right. Come then. Let me done that there. A judge for every one of our organization and see what happens when you sit down, open up the books and study the law of the Almighty within your organization. There's one person and you buy the books, what they need. And you can do film show, you can do seminars, you can teach other people according to the laws of the Almighty and see what happens when you do that. Every one of my people's organization, no matter who you are, whether you're a Sunday church, whatever you want to call yourself, right? Learn the truth by being a judge. And then when you study it properly, watch and see how much you know you got it wrong because you're studying it properly. You'll know you got Sunday church wrong. You'll know you got their calendar wrong. You need an Enoch calendar. Enoch calendar, creation calendar. That's what you need, not their stupid little Roman Gregorian, what they call it, stupid calendar. Whatever they call it. You know what I'm talking about. Their Roman Latin calendar, whatever it's called. Julian calendar, whatever it is. I don't know. But I know it's a load of crap. Yeah? From Sunday to Saturday. And you know how many pagan gods that is? Mentioned there? 7. From January to December. You know how much pagan gods is mentioned there? 12. You know how much that is? 19 altogether. Pagan gods. You mention when you mention their calendar. Pagan gods. All right. Talking done. Okay? Let's cut out the pagan. Check for the Mad Mag on YouTube. I call him the Mad Mag. Check for him on YouTube. And Kofa.com. And Yah Kingdom. Right? The Kingdom of Yah. There's various organizations. All the Hebrew Israelite organization, the street preachers. We all have a place in the kingdom. When we do it correct. And that's what I'm about. We do it correct. We don't fail like Black Panthers. We don't fail like Rassa. We don't fail like Marcus Garvey. We don't fail like they did in slavery days when they get the beating and the whipping. Don't think all that's all forgotten and done with. It's not. We don't fail when they're killing Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King, all them man there in America killing their own people. Let me tell you something. No white person that loves killing people needs any help from any black man to kill their own. They don't need help. They're quite capable of killing us without any help from us killing each other. You hear what I'm saying? That's why we need judge, trained, and know what they're talking about. Within our community, our own judges. Every organization, sit down, find one person that's sensible and teach them the law. Give them the books. And then when that person's up to speed, bam, hit the ground running and teach the people the law of the Almighty. Don't do this. Don't do that. What gender changing? What corrupting children? What poisoning their mind with nastiness of Satan? Telling them they can change to boy and girl when they feel like it. And mash up themselves. For what? Foolishness. Don't teach the children the nastiness they're teaching. Fire for that. Seriously. Burn them with fire. Every single last one of them are corrupting the children with foolishness. Because it don't help them in life. bowing down to Satan and idol worship and Baal worship and all the foolishness of Satan, putting the children through sacrifice, burning them in the fire, drinking the blood, all the foolishness, eating human meat, all the foolishness of Satan. Mash it up. Any royal family, any politician, any nasty pope, any nasty anything religious, mash it all up. System of the Almighty from now on. Yah love. Yah-Israel, one love. Shalom. Me done. Remember Tupac and Biggie. Remember all the fallen people like Whitney Houston, Princess Diana, Bob Marley, all of them. Watch how they go. What happened to them? What's true and what's not true? Illuminati soon done. Satan soon done. All them nastiness of Satan soon finish. That's what the end of the world is. Evil done. Me done.